Hey everybody, Nate Lee here, and I'm going to show you how to slow down music and learn from it. And I'm going to be using the program Transcribe, but the things I'm going to teach you work for any slowdowner. However, I highly recommend that you use a slowdowner on a desktop computer like I'm using, rather than using a mobile device. And the reason for that is that mobile devices require us to use our fat fingers on tiny little buttons on a touch screen, and even with a stylus, it's just really hard to deal with. So if you want to learn fast, then using a computer is the way to go. But remember, if you don't have a computer or you just want to try with your phone, all these same things work. Now, it's really important for you to learn to do this because in the long run, you want to be your own teacher. Now, you've taken great first steps. If you're watching this video, it means that you're a YouTube or Facebook video watcher who is looking to learn new stuff. And that's one of the most important indicators of someone who's going to get better at music. When I see somebody who will seek out ways to learn and look for information when they run into a hurdle, those people tend to get better faster than everyone else. If you combine that with good problem-solving skills in general and keeping track, my list makers, the people who really keep track of what they're doing and what their goals are, those are the people that get better the fastest. Additionally, you can take lessons from somebody and get them to show you any song you want, but it's expensive. Some of you take lessons from me. You know that lessons with me are very valuable to you, but also they aren't cheap. And my goal is to teach you how to not need me anymore, both in your private lessons and through my YouTube channel, for you to learn the things you need to know to not need help from a teacher and instead to just be your own teacher. All of your famous professional musicians are most of the time their own teacher, although most professional musicians from time to time do seek out guidance from somebody who knows how to do something that they don't know to do or know how to do. Now, without further ado, let's get into what to do. If I had rehearsed that, it could have been really cool, but I didn't. All right, so I'm going to open a song, and the one I'm using here is one of my own songs. I own the rights to it. I'm doing this so that I don't run into any copyright issues, but Facebook is probably going to silence the music anyway. So if those of you that are watching on YouTube, it's probably not going to be a problem. All right, had to pause because the dog was barking, and the dog was barking because I got my ring back. Those of you who watch all my videos heard me mention probably in that video where I was in the airport all the things I did in Nashville, and one of them was that I dropped my ring off for some TLC, so they rebrushed it, and it had just arrived. So the dog was indignant that that was happening. So now maybe she'll stop barking, and I got my ring back. It looks great. So shout out to Consider the Wildflowers in Nashville. They're the ones that made this ring, and then they touched it up for me a little bit too. So we're going to open this using my favorite slowdowner. It's called Transcribe. And I've already opened Transcribe, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click on this file, and I'm going to tell it open with. And here I have all these programs that could potentially open it. And I've got two slowdowners I use. There's Transcribe here, and I'll put the link to this down in the description so that you can go and buy the program if you want. It's really not expensive. And then there's Playable, which is very similar. And actually, I'm not sure if Playable is completely released yet. I had been testing it for somebody I met in a teacher group, and it's really good too. But I know Transcribe better, so I'm going to use Transcribe. So I now told it to open with Transcribe, and here you can see the waveform of the song. This is already one of the reasons that the computer is better than a mobile version of a program like this. Because in mobile versions, you're very limited to what you can see, if you can even see anything. And these waveforms here, that's what these little carrot-shaped things are called. These are important because each one of these little things, these triangles here, these tornadoes, each one of those is a note. Being able to see that makes it much easier to get a feel for the song, to find your way around, and to just really be able to be efficient when you are transcribing things and learning things by ear. The method I'm using here works equally well for learning something by ear that you're not going to write down, or transcribing it that you are going to write down. This, in fact, is what I've been using. I've got some gigs coming up with 𝘀𝗴𝗽�57. I just moved to New England, and lucky me, 𝘀𝗴𝗃𝗽𝗃 asked me to play some gigs with him. And so I've been learning some of the stuff for it using this program. And it's what I do every time I need to learn somebody's material. This is what pros do, is use programs like this. So let's get started. The first step is that we choose a song. We've already done that. And then we choose where to start. So you've got to choose what part of the song you want to learn. In the case of this song, it makes sense to start at the beginning of the song. Now, as I click around, anytime you see this yellow circle, if you look at the top middle of the screen right now, you see the pink cursor and that yellow circle. Every time you see the yellow circle, that means I've clicked. So I'm going to start by just playing this song from the beginning so we can listen to it a little bit. This is me on my 𝘂𝗲𝗃 A5. This is from my album Wings of a Jetliner, and the song is Come Along Brown Dog. So you start by just listening to it to find out where you are in the song. And then you choose a place to start and you decide how fast you're going to move when you're learning the song. So I'm going to show you first some of the features that are available here, and then I'll show you how I would go about learning a song like this. So first I'm going to open the effects window. This FX stands for effects. And I'm going to just click on it here, top middle. And this gives me a lot of control over the song. So for starters, we have the speed here that can be changed. Now, anytime you hit spacebar, the song's going to start or stop. And that's a shortcut you can use. But if you hit spacebar, this window will go away for a second. All right, so now if I want to change the speed, I can. I can change it either using one of these buttons up here, or you can actually use this slider. Now, most of the time, we're not going to want to speed something up, but you can. Most of the time, you're going to want to slow it down. Now, when you do that, when you slow it down, the sound quality is always going to suffer a little bit. So sometimes it's helpful to use some other tricks to help yourself hear the part that you're trying to learn. So that's where this EQ panel comes in handy. The EQ panel allows you to remove certain ranges. Like if there's a bunch of low noise in my way, I could click this bass remove right here. You click on that, and then you click save. I'm not going to do that right now. You also could remove the various instruments that this program knows, or you can just remove the tenor. And those are fine, but that's not what I actually use, which is why I'm not going to do them. What I use is this graphic EQ right here. And if any of these terms sound intimidating, don't worry about them. Don't worry about what the effects panel is, the graphics, anything. You don't even have to use all this stuff. The part that you really need to know is the speed here. If you can do that, you're going to be in great shape. For the rest of this, any terms I use are not terms you need to know. This is where the mandolin and the fiddle range hangs out, is right here in the middle. So as the song's playing, and here I'm going to just skip ahead to a part where you can hear more people at once. So as the song's playing, you can start to remove, I'm going to just speed this back up to normal. You can just start to remove some of the ranges. If I'm hearing way too much bass, I can just grab these sliders and pull them down, or you can just double click at the bottom here of each line. So now the bass is starting to go away. And eventually the music starts to sound very different. Now there, the mandolin kind of went away. I got too far toward the middle, so I'm going to start to put it back. If you click on one and slide it around, it'll actually create a little line for you, but you can also just move each one to exactly where you want it to be. So I'm going to put the middle back so that I can hear the mandolin. By the way, I got to the end there. All I had to do was hit spacebar to turn it off and spacebar to start again from the exact spot I was in. So I'm going to start it again. And I'm going to put some of those back. All right, now the mandolin's clear again. Now, what if there's too much high-pitched stuff? I could grab the high end here. And start to bring that out as well. Now, I chose this track because it's very simple. If you were doing a track with an entire bluegrass band, that EQ thing becomes very, very helpful and very important. For a song like this, you can hear everything so well. Shout out to Dan Boner, who was not only the producer, but the engineer on this project, who made everything very clear where you could hear every instrument, even on the full band tracks. But a lot of times it's not going to be that clear, and you're going to need this effects panel. Now, anytime you want, you can click bypass, and everything you did in this whole panel goes away, and it's just back to normal again. And then you can go back to active and redo your stuff. If you don't like what you did, you can just hit clear, and it's done. It's right back to normal again. Now, you can also use tuning, and this is really great. So here, let's say I wanted to learn this song in a different key. Well, this one's semitones right here changes it 1/2 step or 1 fret at a time. The song was in A, now it's in B flat. Now it's in B. And there you go. Pretty fun. You can even change the speed while you do this. You could even change the speed. It sounds like a hammered dulcimer now. That's so cool. I've never put this song in the slowdowner because I already knew it. I wrote it. That's so cool. I've always wanted to learn the hammered dulcimer, and it probably will never make it on into my queue of things I want to do. So at least I can speed this up and sound like I play the hammered dulcimer. So you can do all of these things at once. I've got it set to fast. I've changed the key. I could change the EQ if I wanted to. You can turn these up too, by the way. I'm going to bypass that. You can change the tuning, all of it, all at the same time. All right, so that's how you use the controls. Now let's get into the method you should use to learn things by ear off of a recording or to transcribe things off of a recording. All right, so now we're going to go to the beginning of the song. I'm going to reset everything. There's no EQ. I'm bringing the tuning back to where it's supposed to be, and I'm going to bring the speed back to 100%. And we're going to get started with the process of learning to play. It's from a recording. It's very simple. Very, very simple steps. It takes practice to hone your ear, but the actual steps are extremely simple, and anybody can do this. You just have to put your mind to it and follow the steps I give you. So you start by choosing a lick you're going to learn. And I like to go a little ambitious first and choose a whole lick. So maybe I'd use that section right there. Now what I did to highlight this is I just put my mouse here on the left, I clicked and drag, and anything that turns blue is going to be a loop. This will play over and over those notes as many times as I want it to. Just like that. And you can slide it around. So what you do first is you find that first note. Now let me grab an instrument. I'll just use the fiddle for this one. Even though this is a mandolin song, the fiddle does play it later. Becky Buller put some really nice fiddle work on this song. So what you start with is the whole lick. If you can do it, great. But most people aren't going to do the whole lick right away, and I have a tendency to bite off more than I can chew as well. So then what you do is you shorten it. And the best thing you can do is shorten this to one note. Now if you want to redo your window, you can just click anywhere on the screen and then start over again. Click and drag. You can also take a window you've already created and hover over either edge of it, and you'll get this little black arrow. and then you can move it. Same thing over here on the left. You can move it. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to restrict it to one note. I'm just shortening it to a single note. Now I'm going to hit spacebar to make it play, but I also could hit the play button down here at the bottom left. And when I do that, it's going to play over and over. Now it's usually best to let it play once and then pause it. So remember, spacebar starts it and spacebar stops it. So you listen to it once, think about that note for a bit, and then you hunt for it. Now, for those of you who took the You Can Play by Ear class, you learned all of my methods to do this, and I recommend that anybody who wants to hone their ear go and take that class. There's a link below. The live class has ended already, but you can access the video and the PDFs. All of the instruction that the live class people got, you can access as well. So the link's down there below. Sign up for that right away. It's going to be very, very useful for you. If you're a beginner or intermediate player, then it's something you've got to have. And if you're an advanced player who isn't super confident in your ability to play by ear or to play the notes you hear in your head, that kind of stuff, then the class is a good choice for you too. All right, so what we're going to do is follow one of the methods that I give you in that class, which is you listen to the note, then you hunt for it. You start somewhere. Now, I already know. I wrote this song. I know that it's an open A. I've also honed my ear for 26 years now, and even if I didn't know this song, I would have known it's an open A. I don't have perfect pitch. I just have a very good sense of pitch from practice and from using the methods that I teach you all to do in the You Can Play by Ear course. So let's say I didn't know it was open A. What do? Maybe I try a D note instead. So that D note is not it. But I can listen to it and I can say, all right, the note I found, was it higher or lower? And if you want to guess, here's the original note. I'll try to play quiet on the fiddle so I don't overdrive the mic here. So is my fiddle note higher or lower than the note in the reference recording? The answer is it's higher. So what most people do here is they start to jump around. They don't identify if it's higher or lower. They just start jumping around, hoping they land on it. And that doesn't work because most people land in the same places over and over and over again. So instead, what you should do is go one fret or one half step toward the note that you are the reference note. So I needed this open A, as that's the note that is played in the song. And I got this note. So I'm just going to play the next lower note because I know the note I got was higher and the note I need is lower. By the way, there's an app called InTune that will help you hone this skill. I'll put it down below as well. So I'm going to go down to the very next note, C sharp. You don't need to know the names of the notes to do this either. And that's still not it. I can listen to the original, compare what I had. It's not the same. So I go down to the next note. This is a C. I compare that. And that's not it either. And you keep doing that until finally you arrive on the note that you're looking for. Then you practice that note until you've got it down. Making a real clatter over there. So you practice that note till you've got it down. Take this one note at a time. It feels slow, but it really is the fastest way to go. Then you add another note. You can either scoot this window over and only learn one note, or sometimes you may feel like you can start from the same spot and just listen until you reach the next note. And I'll often do that for a few notes, but if you're starting out, do one note at a time. And again, these waveforms here help us find exactly where a note is. If I want this note, I can just highlight around it. So you find a note, then two, then three, then four, and so on. Eventually you're going to have a whole lick. Well, then you can use the chaining method, which is where you add a note to it and sometimes get rid of a note behind at the beginning. And then you can scoot that chain around, learn a note at a time, and practice different little segments. So your learning would look something like this, or could look something like this. You learn note number 1. Then you learn note number 2. Then you practice them both together. Then you add another note, maybe another one after that. Then you're getting into kind of a long string of notes, so you might get rid of the first two and just focus on notes 3 and 4. Then you figure out note 5, note 6, note 7, and note 8. Then maybe you feel ready to play the whole lick, so you do this. Then maybe you want to preview the next lick, so you skip ahead. You listen to the next lick, adjust as needed. And you just snake back and forth, and if you get stuck anywhere, just go to somewhere else in the song. Start from some other spot, and just work your way toward having the whole song. Slow is fast. The slower and more thorough you are, the faster you're going to know the song forever. All right, so that's the method I use. This is exactly how I learn songs. Every time you find a new note, pause and practice it. It's okay to get up and walk away. In my course, You Can Play by Ear, I teach some other tricks you can use. And in my live workshops, a lot of you know I've taught you my methods for how to remember things like chord progressions and stuff like that. If anybody would like me to cover some more things on this transcribing topic, let me know. I'm happy to do it. And as always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It really is an easy and free way to help out the channel. Click that like button for the YouTube algorithm so that people like you will see this video. Click the notification bell so you don't miss any videos in the future. And if you're watching on Facebook, then make sure to follow this page and like the post and share it with your friends. All right, everybody. Oh, and don't forget to sign up for You Can Play by Ear. The link's down below. You'll be glad you did. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee in case you're not sure if it's for you. You can try it out. All right. Bye, everybody.